There's hungry, there's starving, then there's ravenous, and then there's me.
Are you willing to break friendships up? Are you willing to break relationships up?
If more men stopped and said to themselves, why am I doing this? And what is the value proposition? What am I offering? Martin Cooper, Eric Tiger Stead. What do those names mean to you? What do those names mean to you? Welcome back to episode 10. That's a good feeling. Episode 10 of Let's Leak the Intel.
Double digits.
Double digits. We did it. We did it.
It's been an experience.
I've learned so much. Like, I have learned a ton just reaching episode 10. I'm excited to see what the next 10 episodes bring.
Yeah. Everything. Being in front of the camera, the way you present yourself, learning your style. That's been a big one for me.
Yeah.
And how we differ as well as hosts.
The dichotomy of Alfie and Niall and how we fit together. Even that has been a big process.
Yeah. From
episode 1, sitting on the sofa, just absolutely going off the dome.
Yeah.
To today.
Well, I think it would be interesting to either say, like, we had the idea for the pod and within 24 hours we were shooting it.
I love that we did that.
Like, well, it's what I said to you, right? Like, if we think about it, we'll just be there trying to pick up more things that's going to be like, oh, we can't do it for this reason, or we got to think about that, where we just jumped on and we did it, and we improvised and we took action. And I think, to be honest, that is when we should really go into episode 10 and the topic that we want to discuss today, hunger and playing with fire, because we were hungry. We're hungry to get out there. We're hungry to build. We're hungry to be successful. And I think it's important to discuss this in the lab and leak the intel to the viewers.
I'm extra hungry right now. Like, there's hungry, and then there's starving. Then there's ravenous, and then there's me. Like, at this moment in time, I just want to get after it. And I know my why. We talk a lot about knowing your why, because I think a lot of people don't ever stop to think about the why behind what they do. But every morning when I wake up, I sit there and think, why do I want to put effort into this? And at the moment, it is about developing me as an individual. Fuck the subscribers. I love that we've got almost 60 subscribers. That's a blessing in itself that we've managed to do that from 0. And that's going to continue to grow. I love that people are tuning in, week out. That's amazing. And I'm thankful for that. But what I'm really proud of is that we sat down and said we were going to do this. Within 24 hours, we had a minimum viable product on the internet.
MVP.
And now 10 episodes later, we're sitting here in a studio and we're still going strong.
And it's still early, right? Like, what was the crazy thing you told me about joining the 1% Club in a podcast?
So 90% of people who start a podcast don't make it to episode 3. And out of the 10% that do make it to episode 3, don't make it to episode 10. And out of the 10% of people who make it to episode 10, don't make it to episode 21. So all we have to do to be in the top 1% of podcasts that have made it past 21, and bearing in mind it takes 21 days to build a habit, in order to get to that point, we've got 11 more episodes to do.
So that will be a bigger milestone for us, realistically.
Yeah.
When we get to the 21st episode, we'd officially be in the 1% Club of podcasts. I think that's very interesting, and without a doubt it's going to happen, of course. Do you know what I mean? Like I say, we're playing with fire.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah. Shout out Meeks. But yeah, we're playing with fire right now, right? And we're extremely hungry, both of us. Maybe for different things and even different reasons. But going back to the why, yet again, it's important to know why. And I feel like if you're at home and you are hungry, I think you need to sit down with yourself and write down your whys, or at least strategize your whys. Like, why are you hungry? And then ask a why to the why. So there's actually a method in a book called The Lean Startup, right? And they call it the 5 whys. And the way they use it, and you can use it in life as well, right? So the way they use it is that if they have a problem within a tech startup, or even a startup as such, right? What they tend to do, instead of like just blaming the problem on someone or a team or this and that, they will ask why. So the first why is like, why has it happened? What's happened? Why has it happened? Oh, there was a bug in the program. And then you'd ask another why. Why was there a bug in the program? So such and such did this. And why did they do that? Oh, because this other program weren't working efficiently with the other program. And then it will be why again. Well, why weren't that working? Oh, because a certain plugin weren't plugged in properly. Okay, and why was that? Oh, because the junior associate did the plugin. And then what it would lead to, the 5 whys, is then they would build out and develop a training system for that junior associate. So rather than just looking at the initial problem, they will dive deeper in and peel the layers back like an onion, essentially, and get to the bottom, and then put a system in place to get it solved. And the reason I'm saying that is because I feel this should be the same with your whys. You should ask yourself, it's like, for example, my old boss, again, he used to get us to do this thing and write your goals, but he would ask you to write your whys to your goals. So it's all, and hows, which is important, right?
Smart goals.
Yeah, smart goals, right? So you want a house, that's your why. But why do you want a house? And then to write that. And how are you going to do it? Rather than just saying, I want a house. A lot of people are like, oh, I want a house. I want to get on the property market. I want to get it done. Why do you want a house? Okay, because you want to settle down and have a family, or you want to like get into the game in general and do buy-to-lets. That's important. But how are you going to get there? You need to break it down, because this hunger, you're not going to have enough drive within your hunger. You need to break it down. What's it going to take you? You need to get down to the figures. Obviously, you're very familiar with figures, so it'd probably be a lot more familiar for you to do a task like that, especially in property as you're a quantity surveyor.
That's the one.
Yeah. So I think that's important for people to maybe even use the methodology behind the 5 whys in the lean startup and start peeling back the layers of yourself and asking them why. So
I think that's so important. I want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. Why do you want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Because that seems like the trendy thing to do. That why won't work. That why won't last, because that why doesn't resonate with you. And so if you can't find a why that resonates within here, the how is just going to die out.
Yeah. You ain't even going to get to the how. It's like what you say, right? Like if you're just doing it because it's the in thing, or you've read the 5 a.m. Club, the book, right? And all of a sudden you're waking up at 5 a.m. and doing this routine, but you've got no cause. Like you're just doing it because you've been told. You need to up your game, right? You really do, because you need to get to the bottom of it. Why are you getting in shape? Why are you getting in shape? Yeah, again, you're asking the whys. You're digging deeper. I'm getting in shape because I feel like I'd be more attractive in a competitive market of getting with another human individual. Like you need to really just peel back the layers and get going. And then from the whys, you need to know how much you are willing to play with fire to get to where you need to go. How much are you willing to play with fire to get where you need to go now?
How much are you willing to risk?
How much? I'm asking you.
Well, I'm going to do what it takes. Like I have a vision with this. I have a vision. Very, very recently, I realized where I want to be in my 10-year plan. And in order to get there, I need a lot of capital, and I need a very, very strong network of individuals who are willing to take risks as well. And so the why behind that is because we don't treat this world fairly. I'm not going to say what the goal is. I don't want to share that. That's for me to know and for you to watch. But the why behind that is because we only get one earth. My children are going to occupy this earth, and I want them to be able to enjoy parts of it that I get to enjoy, and parts of it that our ancestors get to enjoy. And I feel like if people don't start standing up and saying, actually, we're wasteful, we're greedy, we consume too much, we don't deal with the rubbish that we create, and start creating communities which operate with one kind of single goal in mind. Obviously, a community is full of individuals with their own goals, but you want those goals to work in tandem with the big goal of whatever that community is.
Yeah.
And so for me, I care about this planet. And in order to leave a mark, not that a mark even matters, because 5 years' time, 5 years after I die, it's probably only going to be my wife that remembers me and my kids.
Damn, so you're saying you're going to drop off first, yeah? Jesus.
But even then, like, my kids probably, like, they'll be moving on with their life.
Yeah.
And then they'll have kids. And then...
Well, unfortunately, the harsh reality is we never forget about our lost ones, but we just learn to live without them. And you think about them every day, right? Like, I've been through loss. I lost my father when I was younger. But you just learn to live without them. And then it gets to a point where, I know it sounds very unfortunate, but you're not thinking about them every second of the day like you feel you would if you did lose them. And when it happened, I was all the time. And then at least once a day, it pops into my mind, of course. But then even all the people he knew and everyone around him, no one talks about him no more.
No.
This life is very short-lived.
Very short-lived. And the memories that will live on in other people, they're a lot more short-lived than you think. And that's why I think taking risks, you got to risk it all. Like, there has to be certain things where you're just like, I'm willing to risk it all. I'm willing to look stupid in this.
Because the more risk you give out and the more risk you're willing to take, I believe the bigger the reward, 100%, right? If you look at the most famous or richest or wealthiest or successful individuals, all of them have took a massive risk in some way, right? Even just being successful in this day and age, you can't really do it. Apart from like the Middle East and money, the Arabs managed to do it very well. They're like the richest people in the world, essentially, but they're not really on the Forbes list and things like that. But even if you are the wealthiest man in the world, like Elon, Jeff Bezos, I know they're always battling it out. They're well known. They have to move in a certain way, like with security and things like this. Like, it takes a lot of risk. You're essentially giving up your life to be successful in this day and age, because when you are successful, people like to know. So you're risking your privacy. You're risking a lot of things. And I feel like that's why you need to ask yourself, why, and are you willing to do it? What are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up your hours and your time on this earth to pursue what you wish to pursue? Are you willing to break friendships up? Are you willing to break relationships up? There's so many factors. Are you willing to give up time, the time that you'd spend with your kid, to work on something that you desire that's going to benefit them in the future, but in the short, you're going to lack at seeing them? And I feel like if you're not fully prepared to give up a lot, you won't get a lot in return. So I think to wrap that up nicely, to risk a lot, you'll be given a lot, but you have to give up a lot.
Yeah. It's sad, but it's true. It's the name of the game, really.
Yeah.
There's things that I think we want to hold on to, but we don't realize that they're holding us back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, even down to basics, even if you don't want to be successful in the sense of monetary wise, right? If you don't want to be a wealthy individual, fine. But let's say you want to travel instead and you want to see every inch of the earth.
Every corner of this globe.
Unfortunately, when that happens, and something I realized is that you can't have it all your way, and you tend to do that. Sometimes your family and your closest friends don't fit into that plan, right? So you have to give that up. You have to go and travel on your own. I know you've done it yourself, right? And you're there and you're traveling the world. And I don't know about you, and I have these thoughts in my mind. I'm like, oh, I wish my mum was here. I wish my family was here to experience me. But unfortunately, life don't work like that. And even that's a risk in itself. you're risking precious time with your family, because I understand the shortness of time, right? My dad was only 40 when he passed away, so there's not a day that goes by when I'm away from my family that I think I'm risking precious time here. But I know deep down that I need to see the world. There's so much to learn from the world, and I've learnt so much from the world. I'm willing to take the risk of giving up valuable time with my family and the people I generally love to go out there and do everything I need to do to build myself up as an individual.
And that's what it is. It's asking yourself, what skills do you want to max out? What elements of the human experience do you want to develop? Because you cannot max every stat in this game. It's just not possible. And the people that appear to have done that, they might do that for a certain period of time and they might uphold that image, but that image will never last because you'll only be the best for so long. And then trying to be the best at everything, well, that's an even harder task. Being the best at one thing is a very, very tricky endeavor. And then trying to do that.
Well, I think I heard Gary Vee say it once, to be a good leader or a CEO or a founder, what typically they found in studies is that they're very good at a lot of things in little ways. So like he'll be good at marketing, he'll be good at programming, he'll have a slight bit of knowledge behind him in the tech game, and he might know a bit about number crunching and financials, but only little, but he knows it across all areas. So then this gives people the ability to manage and lead a lot better. And then they get the real experts in to focus on the individualities of all them things, right? So they'll get an expert in for the marketing, they'll get an expert in for the financials, and that's how it tends to work. So I feel like leaders tend to take a lot of risk of diving into the realm of not becoming professional at one thing and learning a little about a lot. And then that gives them the ability to lead.
And also on the subject of time, we talk about how right now in front of us, we're well aware that there is thousands and thousands of 10 out of 10 opportunities that we could just absolutely dominate in. Whether we know them or not is irrelevant.
Well, they're probably presented to us on a day-to-day basis.
But what I've realized is that you have to choose the skills that you want to level up, put the blinders on, and block out the rest. And then when you realize, okay, because I'm maxing out this, I'm not as experienced in this, that is when you can begin to assemble a team to fortify all the areas where the vessel is weak.
Yeah. I feel like that's where a lot of people go wrong and give up, right? If you're out there and you're wanting to build a business, I wouldn't stress about not being a professional at anything at all. If you've got the ability to bring a team together, a professional team, that's all you need, right? Like, I am not on paper a technical genius, right? I don't know how to code myself. I know how to read some language of code, but I don't know how to code myself. I never did anything in college related to technology. Well, I didn't even go to college, but I never did anything related to technology in secondary school. Yet I've managed to build a mobile app. And my point being here is, don't think anything's impossible. If you have an idea in your head and you generally think you're willing to take the risk and play with fire, then double down and go do it. I think that's the important thing. And I know we talk a lot about output and input, right?
Oh, that's a big one. If you do enough of an output for a long enough time, you will have the data to be able to perform an analysis and see, all right, okay, actually, this was a terrible idea and long term, this is not viable. 6 months in the human lifespan is pretty short, isn't it? But 6 months is enough time for you to go out there and try to start a business where you mow lawns. Imagine if you put leaflets marketing your business through doors for a straight 6 months. You are telling me that one single person would not pick up the phone, dial in and say, hey, my lawn's in a state, come through, mow the thing. Of course. It's physically impossible. If you up the output enough, the input, you're going to start getting returns. You just got to be prepared to keep putting the output out. We're going to push this out whether one person turns up a week.
Yeah.
Or 5.
You're
or
risking
10.
your time to get input back. And I think that's an issue in this world currently. There's so much noise out there. Like you were saying about putting on the blinders, right?
So much
And what
noise.
Niall means by blinders is, he taught me this one, to be fair, is a horse, the things they wear, right? They're blinders so they don't get scared and distracted at like things like football matches, right? But yeah, there's so much noise out there. And I was stuck at this at one point. Like when you're young, you're 17, 18, like there's so much out there on the internet now for us to look at and think, oh, I could do that. I could do this. I could do that. Don't worry about doing 10 different things. Focus on one thing and roll with it for long enough. And trust me, it will pay off. It is inevitable, right? They say, and it's a fact, that it takes 5 years for a business to actually successfully start up and start turning a profit, right? People are short term, man. People are so short term plays in this generation. It's actually crazy. People don't want to wait 5 years no more. And don't get me wrong, there is probably some cases where people do it a lot quicker, but then how much longevity is in the product that they're selling, right? It's risk in itself going for a product that may not be in the market in years to come. So I think coming back to what you were saying about the niche, pick 1 or 2 niches that resonate with you as a human, your values, your goals, you as an individual, who you want to be in 5 years' time, and just run with them and become an expert in that field. Don't worry about the risk because, like we say, the higher the risk, the bigger the reward. It will pay off if you put yourself out there every day. Just worry about becoming an expert within the niche, and you will have so much opportunity you will not even realize in that 5-year time gap.
I'm just sitting here going back to the why point that we were making earlier. I think not enough people ask themselves, why would somebody else be interested in this? If more men, before they approached a woman in the sleazy way that they like to do, if more men stopped and said to themselves, why am I doing this? And what is the value proposition? What am I offering to this individual that I'm going up to speak to? Because I'm telling you now, she does not want another sleazy, hey babe, and a smack on the bum. Like, that is not what the world needs. But too many men, they don't stop and ask the why. And it's the same with women. Why would a man want to be with you? You need to start asking yourself, what can I offer? And make sure the value proposition is actually good. Because looks fade. Looks only count for so much. And looks don't even come into play when we're talking about the longevity of a relationship. It is not something which contributes to the longevity of a relationship. So start to ask, why would somebody buy into this? What is the USP that I'm offering? And when you figure that out, then you can perform an analysis on, is it even worth your time making that action?
I think the biggest problem out there is people doubt that they have a USP, when in fact, every single person on this planet has a USP.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people haven't fully realized their USPs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Everyone has one, but they don't realize they have one, right? Everyone has a USP, but they don't think what they have is valuable enough.
No, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. I think that a lot of people don't ever sit down and think, what is my USP? It's not about them thinking, like, yeah, you can go with this whole thing, like, everybody has value, everybody has something to bring to the world, and that is true. There's unrealized potential in every single one of us. And for those in the West, we are so fortunate. Like, we have a ridiculous opportunity at our hands to really make an impact on this world, just from the fact that we're born in the UK or the US. So for me, it's about sitting down and with the whys that we were saying, ask yourself, why do you want to do this? start, okay, if I do this, my why is that I want to get fit. Why? Because I want to appear more attractive to women. But then don't just stop at that why. Well, because I want a girlfriend. It's like, but when you have a partner, why do you want a partner? What value are you going to bring to that individual?
Like I was saying about peeling back the onions within it, everything you do, right?
Why?
Because you'll find out a lot about yourself and how your thought process functions. A lot of people probably don't even know how their thought process functions, right? Like, I know how my brain operates. I know I know how my brain operates. Like, I understand how I think and how I sometimes, like we were discussing earlier when we went on a walk, sometimes I know when to use short-term plays and long-term plays because I already know the end outcome of a certain situation. And if the situation would end the same in the short term as it would in the long term, rather than deepen it, just end it and cut it quick. It's a risky thing, but it just shortens the process down, right? Instead of making something so long and letting it go on for so long, cutting it off real quick and nice and short just does the job.
Yeah, you do have to know when to play a long-term game and a short-term game. Sometimes it's beneficial to do a quick lick, a quick flip. Not every business you start has to be in business in 5 years' time.
Yeah. And again, you got to ask yourself the why. Why are you starting the business? Like you just said, is it going to be a short-term play? Is it going to be a long-term play? Are you going to scale this to 6 figures within 12 months or bring 6 figures in cash flow, sell it and move on? You need to know, are you going long-term, 5-year plan? Is it going to be a $1 billion company? Why is it going to be a $1 billion company? There's so many layers to peel back within every business and how it's structured. But I think the core concept of this whole conversation we're having is how much risk are you willing to take? How bad do you want it? And how much are you willing to play with fire? Because you need to ask yourself that. If you want it bad enough, you need to go get it. And if you don't, you need to sit there and think about how you're going to feel when you're old, full of regrets. I think regrets is a big one.
And when you're thinking about risk, and perhaps the risk is that you're embarrassed of trying and failing, and you're scared about how your father judges you because you fail. And then what? What happens next? All right, okay, you did it, you failed. Your dad's like, told you so. You're useless. You're rubbish. Right, cool. And then what? And then the world moves on. Martin Cooper. Eric Tiger Stead. What do those names mean to you? What do those names mean to you? Because those two people created the mobile phone. The very thing that you're watching this on. Okay, yeah. Maybe not the updated version, but they were the ones that put the technology together. And you don't even know who they are. Stop giving a fuck.
Yeah, stop giving a fuck. I think that's a big one. Don't live a life of regret, because the two names you just dropped, I'm going to say 95% of the people don't even know who they are.
99.999 reoccurring percent.
You don't know who they are, right? You do not know who them people are. Yet mobile phones shape the world that we live in today, essentially, right? And we forgot about them people. So you think, let's say even us, for example, it'd be very regrettable of us to not do a podcast because we're worried that Tom and Susan from down the fucking road are going to judge us for jumping on the camera and be like, oh my God, look at these two boys, fucking podcast. Everyone's doing a pod. Give a fuck. Give two shits.
I'm going to be in the ground one day.
Yeah. And no one's ever going to talk about this podcast again.
No. Lost in the
Sorry
archives.
to say, no one's going to talk about this 5 years after I'm gone. Not the podcast. Maybe if I cause some other greatness, but even then, it has to be real fucking great.
Yeah.
Real fucking great.
Can you name the architect that designed the Burj Khalifa?
No.
Okay, there we go. I'm pretty sure that
guy's
still alive.
But I would like to think I would know that answer, and I fucking don't.
And that is an incredible building.
Yeah.
Right? You don't even know who designed the building.
World's biggest building. The biggest human structure ever built.
Nobody is going to care about the braiding business that you start. Nobody's going to care about the cake shop that you set up. Nobody is going to care.
If nobody knows and nobody cares about the people that invented the mobile phone, believe me, nobody's going to care about much.
It's actually sad when you deep it.
Yeah,
like,
it is.
I'm genuinely deep in it, and I'm like,
it's
I'm
giving me an
sad
energy burst right now to just go insane and flip the fucking table to think like people worry so much about being seen, and then they end up getting to this age, like 60 years old, and they're like, oh, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Stop thinking and just fucking do right now, because believe me, you don't know the name of the person who discovered the first radio waves of the fucking Wi-Fi. You don't know the people who discovered the fucking phones. So people are definitely not going to worry about us unless you're about to make something that's going to fucking keep humanity alive forever, and it guarantees it. But that is a 0.1% chance. So get up, take the risk, play with fucking fire, and go get it.
And even then, if you do hit that 0.01 reoccurring % idea, understand that in a long enough time horizon, everyone will forget anyway. So don't be afraid to take the risk because of how other people are going to perceive you.
Yeah.
Because when you really sit there and think about all the people that are doing greatness on the daily basis, how many of them do you know? You know probably a small few who inspire you, but most of the time you're thinking about yourself. So go ahead and think about yourself, and think about how great you are, and think about how much greatness and unrealized potential you have inside of yourself, and go do it.
And something else I walked away from earlier when we was on our walk and clearing our heads and getting a bit of headspace, right? What you'll tend to find is when you get into a certain stage of hunger and risk, you start to block out all the noise. You don't worry about what other people are thinking. At first, the demons are going to play in your mind, right? And as usual, you need to bulk off the fucking demons, right? But when you get past a certain stage, you just forget everything. You literally forget everything. It's like, I forget that I'm even out on YouTube sometimes, or I forget I'm doing this, and I forget I'm doing that. And it will take me to bump into someone and be like, oh, I saw your latest episode. I really liked it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I do a podcast. You just get used to things. You learn to live with, and you learn to live without, right? And that is the importance. Just go and do what you need to do. Get it done. Take the risk. No doubt you'll prosper. But don't forget also, 99% of the shots you do take will probably fail. But that does not determine your success. The thing that determines your success is the amount of failures you can take and continue to step forward.
And to my friend who deals drugs that secretly wants to be a florist, this is your moment. Go do it. Oh,
damn straight, yeah?
Damn straight.
Well, there you go. That's new to me. People have so many dreams, so many ambitions out there, and like you've just said, they're afraid to take them shots, right? They're afraid what people are going to think. Fuck what people think. If you can't remember who Hedy Lamar is, let's give him another one. Hedy Lamar. Do you know who Hedy Lamar is? We know who Hedy Lamar is. 99.9% of people are not going to know who Hedy Lamar is. And Hedy Lamar is one of the founders of Waves that created the Wi-Fi. The thing that literally makes the world go round today. No one remembers.
The thing that you can't live without.
The thing that is making you tune in.
But you know Kim Kardashian because she makes skims that hide your body fat.
Yeah.
It's like...
But even Kimmy, when she goes, she's going to be forgotten within 10 years. That's the point we're making it here. Don't worry. Don't stress. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the hate that people are going to try and slam down on you. And I said this, right? I think it was to you earlier, or maybe on the last episode of the pod, but even the most genuine, down-to-earth people out there that are trying to cause good on this planet and generally trying to help humanity still get shade thrown on them. Still get shade. I think we discussed it in the Karma episode, right? They still get shade thrown upon them. You need to be able to. I think a big thing to be successful, right, is that you need to be able to endeavor pain on all levels and in all realms. You need to be able to take pain of words, take physical pain, take mental pain. Whatever pain that is, you need to be able to consume it.
I just want to caveat that for a quick second. The pain of your father being disappointed in you isn't even real pain. It's pain that you're creating for yourself. I think a lot of pain that is inflicted on ourselves purely just down to bad perception. And if we literally just thought, like, as it didn't occur to me until we've just discussed it now. It really didn't sink in, but I'm thinking about all of these magnificent things within the world, and I'm like, I don't know whose name is behind that. I don't know whose name is behind that. I don't know who designed that. And I'm worried about what people are going to think of me wearing my tracksuit to Tesco's.
Or you leaking the intel.
Or me leaking the intel. Or me fluffing up my words this entire podcast.
Yeah. You just learn to live with it, right? Like, think of how many times, like, in the past 10 episodes, so short, we've still got so many more episodes to drop and leak. And we've had little fumbles and we've continued. Don't care. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. And I feel like that's the takeaway message from this whole episode, right? If you have an idea, if you have something you aspire to be, take the risk. Go do it.
Ask the why, then ask the why again. Then you should probably ask the why again, and then ask why people would want to even buy into the change that you feel like you need to make. Even if that change is for you, that change is going to project outward. So ask yourself, what is the value that other people are going to get from that?
Definitely. And just to sort of finish on this note here, if you do have an idea or something you want to do, whether that's traveling or try and get out there in the relationship world, output and input, like you said, right? Put in as much as you can, as much effort you can, day in, day out, and you will get something in return. It's bound to happen. So, I think we should end it there.
Done. I'm finished.
Yeah, I'm finished.
I'm going to go cry about how nobody's going to remember me when I die. Just joking.
Don't fucking forget that, people. No one's going to remember. I don't want you to leave this episode not thinking about that. I know we've repeated it a few times, but I suppose this is the point of this episode. Don't give a fuck. Go and do. Go and conquer. Yeah? The people who conquered the very land we live on, we don't even know their name.
No.
And we live here with privilege. Go and conquer the world. Go and fight your demons. Go and bulk off them. And you will feel the best you've ever felt in your whole entire life. Learn to foul. Bulk off the demons. And play with fire.
I'm done. I'm out. I'm finished, mate. I'm finished.
Fucking done.
I'm finished. I'm actually finished.